Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jay from Revolution Radio, and today we are going to talk about this Project Veritas expose, leak, whatever you want to call it, um, of CNN. They really, really got CNN this time, guys. And we will get into just what they exposed and how deep it really goes. Before then, though, let's talk about who Project Veritas is. They're a small group who are conservative on the many argue on the fringe right. They have released a few exposés like this before, claiming to have this amazing journalistic ability to really just nail the left. I don't know if you guys remember the Planned Parenthood one, which that one went great, by the way. Nobody came out and said, "Holy crap, this stuff is fake." Yeah, um, they haven't released one thing that has been real. Almost all of their big, we're going to shock the world exposés have all been in some way distorted. Rather, the people were coerced into saying something, kind of like on Comedy Central when you'll see like the Daily Show and stuff like that when they're jokes and they'll do jump cuts. I believe Jim Jeffries has gotten in trouble for that. The thing is, though, is Jim Jeffries is comedy and says he's comedy. These guys claim that everything they say is and everything they report on is true. They don't talk about their jump cuts. And then with the Planned Parenthood one, it was obviously edited video. So James O'Keefe, the guy who runs Project Veritas, his credibility is in the negative. And if I'm honest, I didn't watch all of this, but it did leave me with the idea that mainstream media is so old, they don't know that this is exactly why we're annoyed with them. I'll go into that in just a second. Um, because where I heard this was on Fox News on Tucker Carlson last night. Tucker Carlson has a Monday show after a pretty exciting weekend. I've released quite a few videos this weekend and even yesterday of other major issues that happened. And instead of talking about 1,000 ISIS members escaping imprisonment in Syria, the crisis in Japan, um, the Hong Kong situation, instead of covering any of that stuff, Tucker Carlson spends his Monday show talking about Project Veritas, which does seem really interesting considering he started out his show by saying, now none of this has been reviewed. Namely saying, we didn't do our job as journalists to cite anything that's said. Now I'm going to do a 30-minute show about it. It seems really irresponsible. And some of you might be like, oh, he does an hour show. Maybe. I don't know. I only watched for about half of it when he made the entirety of what I saw all about Project Veritas and their expose. They really got to CNN this time. But the reason why people are tired of this bullshit is because of people like Tucker Carlson on top of people like CNN. Because it's not news, Tucker. Don't you report on actual news? We don't care about your fighting back and forth with CNN. Maybe it rallies up the base, but it's not fucking news. There is nothing informative in your video. The time you spend to bash CNN and the libs could be spent educating people. And we're tired of it. We're tired of it on both sides. Because here's the thing. From what I saw of his Project Veritas videos, I wasn't shocked. There was nothing in there I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. I think to James O'Keefe, some of it was like, see, look what they're doing. Look, they're trying to make every story about the impeachment. Yeah, yeah, that's what news is now. It's about clicks. It's about views. And you can sit there and say, yeah, that's what the libs have done to media. No, because the alt-right president right now constantly talks about views. That's how he measures success. It's on both sides. And CNN and NBC, MSNBC, they they run more like a business than they do a news outlet. And in some ways, and same with Fox, by the way, because in some ways you want to say, well, no, we want to know what's happening. We want to know the real news. And maybe impeachment isn't the big thing right now. Fair enough. And I agree. But aren't the American people who want everything to be ran like a business? And then you're shocked when things are? I don't listen to any of them, by the way. I will catch little snippets here and there. But the one thing that kept being portrayed is that CNN wanted to focus on impeachment, and every story they wanted to do is with impeachment. And yeah, of course they do. That's probably when they get more viewers. Is it the right thing to do? No, not at all. They should be reporting news. They should be talking about relevant things. And yes, I know impeachment is relevant, but it's a very slow-moving story. The problem is now you have Tucker Carlson doing an entire show about CNN doing impeachment talks, and that's it. So Tucker, you're supposed to be a journalist, an analyst at the least. Where's your integrity? What are you doing? You're just talking about CNN. Bad enough that we have to hear from CNN about impeachments. Now we have to hear it a third way over when we listen to Tucker Carlson. And another fine point to put on this is listening to Hannity. What did he talk about the entire time of his show? Impeachment. Because it sells. Because people listen and want to hear about impeachment. People don't want to hear about geopolitics that they don't understand. Now, you can blame media outlets, but you might want to blame yourself. You might want to blame the people who are watching them. Now, look, if you're one of those people who doesn't watch CNN or Fox or any of those, and you have your own independent media, then you're not surprised by this Project Veritas thing anyway. And we're probably going to find out that, well, this was fake, this wasn't, this was whatever. We assume that's how it's ran anyway. But you can't take snippets, and you can't say, well, I'm a big, I believe that Fox News and all mainstream media is all the same BS. But then side with Fox News on certain things. Well, no, Tucker's right. No, Tucker's being controlled like everyone else. Hannity's being controlled like everyone else. Rachel Maddow spent 2 years of her life focusing on nothing because it got her views. Because it led to nothing but a giant paycheck for her. So that's all these people do. They don't talk policy. They don't talk news. They never have. They believe that the American people are too stupid to get it and don't want to pay attention. It's not true. It's definitely not true. And YouTube has done a really good job proving that. But anyway, that's it for that one. I did have one question to answer. I had a listener ask me, I think it was a rather fair question. He said, hey Jay, you're always going on about how universal health care is a lot cheaper than the current system we have now. How is that possible? If we're paying for everybody's health insurance, how is that cheaper than us not paying for anyone's health insurance? I think that's a really fair question. When you look at it from the outside, you are a little confused by that. And look, it does go deeper than what I really have time for, but I can give you the basics of it. And it's this: it's that there is a large portion of our population that doesn't have health insurance. But that doesn't mean that they don't get sick. That doesn't mean that they don't die. It doesn't mean that they don't have to have life-saving surgeries. They still have to do all that stuff. And what happens is they don't pay the bill. They can't pay it. And usually it ruins their whole life until they can finally declare bankruptcy. When they declare bankruptcy, it wipes their debt free, but then puts that debt even further back on the hospital. And now the hospital can't collect, so the hospital has to write it off. And when you look at it that way, who's paying for that? When a hospital writes its costs off, well, the government's paying for it. So in turn, we're paying for it anyway. And a lot of people don't realize that. There's a large number of people who are on private insurance, without a doubt. But there's not a lot of people who can pay. Like, I think it's 60% of people cannot afford a $400 bill. They'll bankrupt them, essentially. Sure, they'll claw, scratch, they'll get it, but you take that to a $4,000 bill. Not as easy to come across. And so it's a delayed thing, but since there's so many people in our country, we're eating it every day anyway. Bankruptcies are declared all the time. People are just skating out of their hospital bills all the time. And the hospitals do have to end up, they write it off at the end of the year. And that comes out of our tax money. And so, yes, we're paying for it anyway. This way, under like a Bernie Sanders plan, we could regulate it a lot better. We could argue for prices. We could also have dental care. We could have eye care. Pharmaceutical prices would be negotiated. There would be a lot more thought into it than the way it is now. And that's why I'm for universal health care. Because, and this is a right-wing study who showed with just what I was talking about, it costs us $34 trillion over the next 10 years for our current healthcare system. Universal healthcare, it would cost us like $32 trillion. I think it's 32 and a half. Because you'd save about 1.5 trillion by switching to universal healthcare. But once I put it in that way, once you kind of see that framed, it makes more sense now. But they don't have time to talk about these things on the news. They should. This is exactly what we were talking about. That's why these anchors should take the time to discuss and break down policies. They don't want to, and let's be honest, most of them probably don't really understand it. I listen to all of them, and whether it's Brooke Baldwin, Chris Cuomo, Tucker Carlson, or Sean Hannity, they're all reading from monitors, or with Hannity, he's just making it up as he's saying it. But they all are elitists, and I don't believe that they don't know our policies. They don't know how to break them down. I'm not even that great at it, but I'm better than they are. That's sad. Anyway, that's my thoughts on everything. I'm curious to hear your thoughts and hear what you guys think. Let me know what news outlet you guys listen to and where do you get your information. Please don't say me. If you say me, you better have other resources. I am as accurate as I possibly can, but we all make mistakes. So even when it's me, check my facts. Check everyone's facts. Don't believe anyone. Anyway, Jay Dillon on Facebook, JAYDYLAN. On Twitter, it's JC Show VIP. Revolution Radio is what you're going to search for Spotify, Google Pod, Anchor, and iTunes. And the YouTube channel is Community of Ideas. All right, guys. Have a great night.